Morrison now introduces us to a man who took his camera to the poor and working class neighborhoods of Los Angeles in tonight's Infinitely Morrison.
I'd like to show you a remarkable book by a remarkable man. Joe Schwartz is his name, and he has spent the many decades of his life recording a photographic diary of it. My memory identifiers, he calls them. And now he has assembled them in this book called Folk Photography, Poems I've Never Written. He lives in San Luis Obispo now, but in the years before he touched down there, he was a jack of all trades, most importantly, the trade of image making. He was a combat photographer on Iwo Jima. He belonged to the New York Photo League, committed to the recording of the life of the urban underclass. Schwartz moved to California when he was 11, walking to school in Highland Park, the only Brooklyner, the only Jewish student among Latinos and Asians. He tramped the country during the Depression, and when there was no work in LA, he took a job as deck boy on an oil tanker. He seemed never to be without a camera, recording the pastimes and the preoccupations of ordinarily invisible people, the poor and the working folk of what we now call the inner cities, of Brooklyn and Harlem, Baltimore and Cincinnati, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles. As early as the 1940s, Schwartz trained his lenses on L.A. Little girls in East Los Angeles. Little boys climbing the fence at the first Watts Festival after the riots. A homeless woman on a bench in MacArthur Park. 2 little girls jumping rope in Venice in the 1960s. The day that Santa Barbara Avenue changed its name to Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. A maintenance man in Olvera Street. A gathering of nuns in East L.A. And Nisei squatters on federal land in Long Beach, a dozen years after they were removed from their own land and sent to internment camps. The power of these images is partly the starkness of their black and white composition, and partly in the faces and the places that, as Schwartz said, convey the smells and the sweats and the space, the asphalt heat of summer, and the fresh bread in winter damp. But mostly their power lies in Schwartz's abiding affection for the streets and the people who inhabited them then, and who now inhabit them forever in the photographs he made.
Thank you, Pat.